Oh, okay. Garrett, what's up, pal? Question. What are all of you doing here and not watching the Game Awards? It's a fair question, right? Open that second tab. Dual screens. There you go. Oh. Joe, what's up? Jay. Natasha, as always, thanks for rolling in. Aaron is Falco main. Falco's a strong main. Is that you, Aaron? Is that the Aaron of the hour? Is that this Aaron? I'm not sure I've seen that handle in chat before. When can you subscribe to y'all? You know what? It was actually offered to us years ago. And I said no. Because I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with managing emotes and saying thanks for the sub. It's not that kind of stream. Kira, I saw you replying to a tweet, I believe, right? If I'm not mistaken. I believe. Welcome on in. Grey Goon. This tune's sick though, right? It's good. I guess Discord held some kind of contest a while back. And this was Exel's submission. It's good. Real good. Anton V Audio. What's up, Anton? Lots of first-timers here. On a very strange week for first-timers with the freaking Game Awards happening. So thank you all for rolling in. I didn't at all expect this to be an active stream this week, but here we are. I mean, I did because, you know, Juliet and Alex are not, you know, they're not the most unknown of guests we've had in the show, that's for sure. I'm stoked they're joining us. That the powers that be at Sony allowed them to grace us with their presence. It's always a trick with any large studio to do this kind of thing at all. So I'm stoked they can make it here. Barney, Visager, what's up? Is that Josie? Hello, all. Steve, everyone. A lot of good names in chat right now. Nick, Von Kanel, Classic, Mood Painter. Caught it live 1 a.m. here in Denmark. It is 4 a.m. right now in St. Petersburg, where Nikita's at right now. So hopefully Nikita's in the chat also. Hopefully. He was saying to me this is going to be a late night for him. So I hope he is awake right now. Nikita, if you are here, welcome. Welcome on in. Привет. Yeah, so today we got one Juliet Rascon and one Alex Previty, who are currently hanging on Discord, ready to answer the call. And if you don't know him, Alex Previty is sound designer at PlayStation, so is Juliet Rascon, both sound designers at PlayStation. Alex credits include Demon's Souls, the remake, Spider-Man for PS4, and the upcoming God of War game, and the sound effects for Discord, which I did not know. So it turns out, actually, Alex and I, we share a past job. We both used to work at the same outsourcing house, and it was there that he designed the Discord sounds, not realizing perhaps how big and how widely heard those sounds would be one day. This song has 13 million views. What's up? Crazy. Actually kind of crazy. Yeah, I heard this, and he was telling me on a call a while back that I guess he didn't realize that's what the sounds were for until like a long time later. He heard the sounds like on he like joined a call for League of Legends or something and like pressed dial and was like, oh, that's my sound. So kind of crazy. Nice work, man. And there you go. Aaron loves the mute/unmute SFX to this day. Yeah, we don't blame you. On the whole, solid suite of sound design for sure. And of course, Juliet Rascon. Credits include also the Demon Souls remake, Death Stranding, God of War, the 2018 God of War, not the upcoming one like Alex, and also the upcoming Horizon Forbidden West. Some spicy stuff in there. Okay, well, I guess without further ado, might as well get him on the call, right? Shall we? Shall we? We shall. Let me go ahead and do it. Oh, my sound's turned off after all that. Oh, after all that, my Discord sounds were muted. I'm sorry.
It's cool, yo.
Hello.
There we go. Okay, I have you both here. Give me a second. Let me line this up. Oh, I just lost you. Where'd you go? Juliet? I only see Alex. Oh, is she back? Is she back?
Hi. My Discord decided it would be so fun to restart. How cool is that? Love that feature. Can
Yeah,
you see me?
I have half of you so far. I have your voice only. We're almost
Let's
there.
see.
We're almost there.
Can you hear me at all?
Yeah, I can hear and see you just fine. Just wait until Juliet's cam is good to go, and then I'll throw you on stream too.
Okay. Give me just 1 second.
Yeah,
I
no
love
sweat.
that none of that happened before.
No, of course.
And
That's why
now-
we do all this testing, test call, etc. And then these things happen anyways. No big.
Well, I guess I'll have to just use my normal camera.
Well, in the meantime, were you aware
There
of
you go.
these? Oh, there you are. Okay, let's go.
Huh?
And there they are. So Natasha, hopefully these ears on my headphones make more sense now. I felt a little bit left out, and here we are.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, thank you for joining, for making the time.
Thank you for having us.
Brilliant. Yes, Matt. Nice, right? Very nice. Did you hear that? Or were you even aware of the fact there's like multiple remixes of the Discord sounds, Alex?
I know, dude. It's kind of wild. Like, some of them have so many views, and it's like, I don't know. It's crazy. I'm like, stop using the sound. I'll just give you the synth patch that I used for the sound effects, and you can just make your own music. But then I'd be giving away my secret. So
Yeah. It's pretty cool. I mean, this video has freaking 13 million views. I just played it for my wife downstairs. Actually, I was like, "Julie, we'll be upstairs." I was like, "Yeah, just put it on."
it
Mix
does
It's pretty good.
slap,
It slaps
and
pretty
it
hard.
bops.
It's a real banger, as the kids have told me it's called.
Exactly.
Okay, so the chat is a big fan of the get-ups. I didn't at all request this. They, in fact, insisted upon it. I think I might be wrong. I think it was actually in their agreement with the higher-ups at Sony. They must wear these things. So I'm not certain that's how it went. But yes, thank you so much. Pretty exciting, your credits, and also what's upcoming. So good on you. Very cool. Question. So given that this show is all about people finding their place, getting their foot in the door in the industry, finding some traction in what they want to be working on, we've found it's pretty helpful and kind of a good reminder to hear where everyone came from, perhaps what their first paid gig looked like and how they came about getting that gig. Just to, again, remind ourselves that no matter how much experience we might have, everyone began in some place, right? Like my first game was a Find the Differences Flash game, and there was like a total of 6 assets made for it, and they were all real bad. And that was my first game I was paid for. It's like, you can go play it right now. And yeah, so fast forward 11 years, and here we are, right? It's a little bit different these days. So perhaps if you're down for this, Juliet, if you want to go first.
Okay, so I was in college, and funny enough, I like posted a Dark Souls remake that I did for like a sound design thing for college, and I had that in like my senior portfolio, like graduation slideshow thing. And some guy came up and he like listened to it, and he was like, "Oh my God, this is really cool. Like I see potential in it." And I went to edit dialogue for War Machine Tactics. So it was like a contract job,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was off of that awful video that I posted on my Twitter. But yeah, he was just kind of like, "Oh, I think you can edit dialogue. Look, if you can do dragon sounds, you can totally edit dialogue." So that was like my first game ever.
Nice. So yeah, it's that's
Yeah.
kind of cool that your first gig wasn't just like directly into the fray with sound design. Then you kind of found this like side door in.
Yeah, it was really random. I never thought that these shows worked for anything because it's supposed to be like your portfolio show, and
Yeah.
so you like show up and people are like, "Oh my God, you're gonna get a job out of this," and it's just like, who's gonna come to San Diego to Balboa Park to like listen to my work and like give me a gig? But it actually worked.
Yeah,
So
there we go. Showing up, it helps a lot. I think
yeah.
even a really common advice from people, it's really hard to like say, or maybe impossible to say, hey, like it worked for me, therefore it's a template for you, you know, because it's, of course, everyone has their own path. But I mean, in general, the kind of the maybe the two things, maybe there's a third I can't think of, but the two things are like, don't be a dick, and the second one is show up. Just show up to things and shake hands. I mean, of course, in days you can shake hands, but in general, even it's like showing up on Twitter can go a long way. Just showing up in any respect online, and just having your name fresh in someone's mind when a job comes up can go a long way. Cool. Thanks so much, Alex. How about it?
Hi.
Let's go.
So my first gig was kind of unique because, like, I tried to do as much as I could at school, and I went to SCAD, by the way, just to kind of like network with other students and kind of work on different projects in terms of like games, animations, films. So I tried to put together as like cool of a reel as I could, and I've cold applied to basically like 80 internships at this point, like entry level gigs, just to like shoot my shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get anything. I didn't hear anything back from anybody. So I was like, okay, well, no one wants to hire this guy out of school, whatever. And then Insomniac Games calls me, like, hey, like we really liked your reel a lot. We'd love to hire you, but we're gonna hire someone else. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But they're like, hey, we really like you still, so just keep in touch and we'll figure something out. That's cool.
That's pretty gracious, actually. That's really interesting that you got that call back, even though it was a negative callback.
Yeah, they're really super nice about it. And even though it was a no, like we still talked on the phone for like a half an hour. Well, it turns out my roommate is the guy who got the gig. So he was the intern before me. So I was like, all right, well, it's cool. Some like friendly competition.
Wow.
But then literally like a year on the mark, I didn't even apply to the next year's internship. They just called me out of the blue. Like, hey, we didn't forget about you. Do you want to, have a shot at this internship? So I'm like, heck yeah. So I went through the whole process and I ended up getting the internship. So my first paid gig was at Insomniac Games in North Carolina, and I was working on Ratchet and Clank, the PS3 one. So there's kind of a mixture of like, really pushing my reel, but also I think Insomniac has a pretty good relationship with SCAD, as their previous two audio interns were also from SCAD, so they kind of had like a little friendship going. But yeah, that was my first paid gig.
Nice. Yeah, it's that's one thing that, I mean, I can go through the criteria in a second here, but we go over like all these things to keep in mind as you're working on your demo reel materials and as you're working on your online stuff. And a big part of that is just like some level of distinction, to standing out in some positive way. And there you go. It's just, even though you didn't get the gig first time around, it's one of those examples where, I mean, we see on this show even where someone shows their stuff, and I'm like, you know what? Right now, if we were hiring, like we wouldn't hire you right now, but like I would love to see where you are in 6 months, like what you're working on, because you're obviously, your trajectory is solid and you have a clear passion for your work. So yeah, let's keep going. Very cool. Thanks so much. So it's a good time to segue into what this show is all about, just in case some people in the chat are not fully aware yet. I see a lot of regulars, but perhaps for people who are first times here, this is Real Talk. We're looking at some game audio demo materials from Aaron Cendan today, and also Nikita Gerasimov. And we are looking at this stuff in the effort of giving back some constructive feedback to help them tweak some things perhaps and increase their chances of landing that gig they're going for. So we're going to be looking at it from a few different angles. They're down below here. These are some just quick kind of bullet points we developed a long, long time ago just to keep things relatively on the rails. We tend to tangent a lot in this show, but we'll try and keep the train on the rails somewhat. So first one being presentation. We're looking at the website on the whole as well as the demo reel itself. We're not looking at like a deep dive into web design, philosophies and so forth, but rather just simply is the most important stuff the first thing you see on the page. Can I get somewhere easily if I want to see something else? Is there too much information, not enough information, that kind of thing? Is your contact info easy to find? All these things. And then for the demo reel itself, does it flow well? Is it too long or too short? What do the titling look like? Is there, again, too much information or not enough? That kind of thing. The next thing being material selection. We're looking at what kind of pieces you've chosen for your demo reel and for your portfolio pieces, and what those various pieces might suggest to somebody coming in relatively blind about what your past work history looks like, what your current skill sets look like, and perhaps most importantly, what your future ambitions might look like. The third thing, content quality, being, is it good? Just is it up to that industry standard of awesome that we're all aiming for all the time? And finally, as I mentioned earlier, distinction is, are you standing out from the crowd? Because there's so many people who are looking for those same gigs you're looking for, potentially, likely. And it's really important, even if you weren't hired this time around, to make a positive impression that will perhaps increase your chances next time around. And that doesn't even need to be your work sounds freaking amazing. It can be your site looks extremely slick. If I see an amazingly slick website and the audio is like fine, it's still really clear they've made a lot of conscious choices here, and that kind of level of detail in approaching their work is, I can assume, will transfer over into the work that I'm actually hiring them for. Of course, I being any recruiter in the world, likely, not necessarily me. That's it for the time being. And worth mentioning, I'm not sure about, I think Alex had a look already. I'm not sure about Juliet, but I am going in totally blind. All I've seen is basically what you've seen at home right now, just the website open in both cases. So we go in blind to kind of best emulate what a first impression might be like from a potential recruiter of some kind. So, and I want to take a chance, this last opportunity, to thank everyone for being here. I assume all of you have the Game Awards open in a second tab. So maybe just no spoilers in chat, because the three of us who are hosting right now can't watch it right now. We'll watch it later on. But hopefully we can compete. We'll pull some viewers. They only have like a cool 3 million or something, right? We'll hopefully get up there too. We'll see. Okay, so Juliet and Alex, good to go?
We're ready.
Awesome, ready. Let's start with, in fact, I'm curious if Nikita is in the chat right now. Nick G Audio, I'm guessing. Nick G Audio, I'm assuming, is Nikita Gerasimov. And I hope Gerasimov is correct. I think that's right. And it's 4 in the freaking morning over there in St. Petersburg. I think that's where you're at, right? Russia somewhere. So let's absolutely do you first and let you go to bed. Thank you so much for being awake right now. Okay, I'm just going to zoom in just a hair. And okay, so front page, we got bio contact, classic link that goes to where we already are. And sound design reel. Beneath this, we got weapon skills design also, as well as Wise Unity integration. So it seems like maybe 3 videos to look at here. Okay. I'm like way zoomed in. Is that messing with the page? I'm curious. We got 100. We got, okay, no, it actually is just like a glitchy background. Okay, cool. All right. So I'm Nikita, a sound designer based in St. Petersburg. There you go. My short story of knob tweaking starts from listening to Noisia. Yo! Nice. You could do a lot worse than that. And similar musicians. I've always liked crazy electronic sounds that, in conjunction with classical music, can result in something quite different and unique. And I've always liked video games, so I've decided to combine the two. What I love about sound design is that it gives you the ability to hear something that is non-existent and imaginary or has not been done yet, like an intergalactic spaceship or ghoulish creatures that feed off of your terror. Cool. The sound tells a story like the story itself, and it is my job to make it astonishingly exciting to make you feel every crackle. Okay, in my downtime, I write electronic music, play video games, try to be engaged in self-development by reading all kinds of books from American history to mythology, learn Spanish, and try to survive cold Russian winters. Nice. My favorite sound design in games: Alien Isolation, nice. Amnesia, nice. Dark Souls, okay. RDR2, Red Dead. Actually, there's a lot, but let's make it short. Okay. My favorite musicians from which I take inspiration, both musically and from a sound design perspective: Tice, is that how you pronounce that? Tice. Former, Imanu, Aritgo, I don't know who that is, and Amon Tobin, as well as many others. Okay, cool. Great. Yeah, Noisia sound design, like they're, from a sound production standpoint, they are crazy, super creative, super technically minded. So nice. Okay, it's a little bit long, but do you have any bio feedback, perhaps Juliet?
I have some feedback. As of right now, just the layout in general, I really like it actually. I think at first I was like a little taken aback because it's just like, for me, it's out there in terms of how it looks, but I actually really like that it's showing sort of like Nikita's personality.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we like scroll down, I can sort of like kind of get an idea of what sort of sound designer he is, just kind of like the style of the website in general. I do think that it is a bit long, but if someone is interested, they will read it. I do think, though, that for recruiters in general, since they might get, so many applications, they might not take the time to read it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good that you're giving the person who's going through your website, you're giving them the option on whether they want to read it or not, if they want to read it.
Totally.
But it's like right there, ready for you to dive in and listen to his work.
Nice. Yeah, we hear again and again that especially AAA studios, like larger companies, can receive in the hundreds of applications very easily. And so it's not so crazy to imagine that, there simply isn't, it's not realistic to set aside time to spend like even 10 minutes on each person's page. That's way too much. It can be, I know a long time ago at GDC, I was given the advice that it should be my goal to make a recruiter or whoever it is I'm applying to, make them want to hear more within 10 seconds. That's your goal. So yes, agreed. This is great. It's here as like a follow-up kind of thing. Like if I want to read it, it's here. I guess the one thing I might give feedback on is just consider that, okay, first off, I know that English wasn't your first language, and it's honestly not bad for English being your second language. Totally fine. But the one thing I would encourage you to consider is, if you read your bio, go through every sentence and think, does this sentence apply to me specifically? And if not, you can probably afford to get rid of it or maybe change something a bit. So one thing we see often is like describing the job of a sound designer. And like that sentence could be like this sentence in the middle, the sound tells a story, like the story itself. Like that could just be in any sound designer's bio in the world, basically. So it might not be like that's a good place to trim things down, probably. Alex, do you have any final thoughts before we move on here?
Yeah, I think I agree a lot with what Juliet was saying. I feel like the overall design and aesthetic of your website, especially knowing what kind of music you listen to, like it all is very cohesive. And I feel like when, studios do get hundreds of, applications, they get hundreds of websites, like yours looks like you. Like it feels like a unique person. And at the same time, it's like, a lot of people's skills can be comparable, but what really makes you stand out is what makes you unique, whether it's, your style of sound design, your personality, etc. And I feel like just in general, your bio and your website design really feel cohesive. I do agree that, some of the more generic things that aren't specifically referring to you could probably be trimmed up or spiced up to be made more, relevant to kind of your unique spin on things, and really double down on like what makes you special. Like if you're really into like using serum or crazy synthesizing techniques to make creature sounds, like make that your thing, because like anyone can make, a spaceship sound or a monster sound, but like what makes your approach cool? And I think you can kind of tie that in to what games you like, what musicians you like, and kind of make it more like unique, I guess.
Totally. I mean, right away, I love this noisy comment. I legit spent like 2 hours at a PlayStation party, actually, talking with Patrick from 11-bit in Poland about Noisia. That was my entire party was talking about Noisia. So I certainly appreciate that in his bio. So nice one. Okay, well, one thing is this page is pretty trim on the whole. There isn't a whole lot to look at. There is, for example, I'm curious to see this actually, because Aaron's page is kind of interesting too. So with this page, I noticed there's an absence of a portfolio, like here are things I've worked on, here are some pieces separately. So it seems like all the content to look at is like in the videos. So I guess we might as well dive into that, yeah?
Let's do it.
Let's go. I'll make sure my volume's all up and stuff, and I'll get ready to mute myself to courtesy to you guys.
Are we gonna do like a 3, 2, 1 countdown?
Yeah, totally. I just sort of press play first, though. Make sure I'm good to go. Okay, so let's go. Oh, I almost hung up on you. Let's mute instead. 3, 2, 1, and go. Sweet. I'll give you one of these. Yeah, so cool. So I guess before we get into anything crazy deep, I saw a lot of smiles from each of you. So, and I'm stuck though. Where's my window? Here we go. Oh, the embedding mess with things. It's fine. Yeah, cool. So before we dive into the details, maybe like a 1-sentence first impression, Alex?
Very bold. I guess I can make this all one run-on sentence. I can definitely like hear your influences in a good way. And I think how can I simplify this? I don't want to go into too much detail right now. But yeah, it's very exciting, very unique and stylized, but could use maybe some more work in terms of grounding things, making things more physical, but we'll get into that later.
Mm-hmm. Sweet. And Juliet, do you have also a reasonably length sentence to throw my way first impression?
I'm like still like digesting it.
Yeah.
Dude, I would love to like do shots with Nikita and just like the reel was just like it was a party.
Yeah.
And like the type of parties that like 20 years later you're like, yeah, I drink too much, but in a good way. Like I just got taken on a ride, and yeah, I'm still digesting that in a good way.
Cool. Yeah, it's this is definitely one of the more cinematic reels we've seen on Real Talk, and oftentimes this is really interesting. I'm excited to dive in deeper on this one, because oftentimes with a reel with this kind of editing, those clips were relatively short. In general, they were like, some were like 5 seconds to 8 seconds long, like somewhere in that range, like very, very short. But I kind of didn't mind because it wasn't bad, and it flowed well. The fact that it flowed well showed that Nikita, you had some really, perhaps I'll call you Nick. You have Nick in your handle. Nick, you obviously took a very careful approach to making the video flow like that. Like it was really obvious you took mindful choices when editing. And the fact that you did that meant that I'm much more okay with the clips being short, because I felt like you were taking me on a journey, which is different than somebody kind of just dropping things into the timeline and be like, well, this one's 5 seconds, this one's like 48 seconds, this one's 12 seconds, and ship, like it's done. This was much better in terms of flow. So very, very cool. I'm excited to talk about this some more. So perhaps let's dive into presentation first. We kind of already have. So lengthwise, this is over my personal love for 1 minute, but I didn't mind at all. Again, for the flow reasons, I was fully okay with it. And I acknowledged it was 118 before it started, and I at no point was like, we've hit a minute. It's totally fine. So nice work with that. Yeah, that's a good question for you two, perhaps. So if you're looking at a demo reel, do you feel like there is kind of like a golden length to aim for? Maybe Juliet?
I do like the 1 to 130 approach. 2 minutes. I feel like if you've done a lot of work in general, and it's like titles that people recognize, they might be interested in seeing what you did. But in general, when first starting out, 1 minute, 130, I feel like is good, because I feel like most of the time, to me, it's the first 30 seconds that are really important and impactful. So I'm a fan. Yeah.
Yeah, it's often the case that if you're at the point in your career where you need a reel, you probably don't have enough interesting content to fill more than 90 seconds anyways. You know, if you get into the demo reels, quote unquote, that are like 10 minutes long, it's usually more like a TED talk or something, in which case they've probably been doing it for a while, and it's actually super interesting for that length of time. But yeah, if you're starting out, then you don't have enough to justify that amount of time. So yeah, well, let's jump into, I guess, the opening. Let's play this at a low level first, and cool. Yeah, there it is. So nice opening card, has that same kind of glitchy look as your site. Freaking awesome. Again, you've obviously given this some thought in terms of your branding, like both of our guests were saying, in terms of your like this being you, this being very much your identity. So very cool. I guess my first note before I throw it to you, Alex, is that I would encourage you, Nick, to be really clear on what's a sound redesign and what is a credit. Because we right now, of course, I mean, we just finished saying that Juliet's working on the upcoming Horizon Forbidden West, and it's likely you are not yet working on that project. So putting just, having who is making it is great, like title and maybe Guerrilla Games over here instead, by Guerrilla Games. And then just beneath that, sound redesign. It'll remove all assumption. Just don't allow anything to be assumed, basically. That's my one note on the titling. Otherwise, it's all pretty clear. And they're all sound redesigns. Just put on all of them, basically. Alex, do you have any notes on like flow or presentation of any kind?
Yeah, I think that like short and sweet is definitely a lot better, because like I think a lot of people pad out their reels to the point where they're not really showing like their best work. They're just showing all of their work. And I feel like when a lot of employers get a lot of applications, they don't necessarily have the time to do really deep dives into every single candidate who applies. So like having a really tight reel, that's also like, I think you did made some pretty intelligent choices in terms of the clips you chose and the order you put them in and how they flow together. So I think you also chose clips that kind of have a lot of thematic similarities to them in terms of like the genre and how it caters to your sound design abilities. So I think just the overall presentation of your reel was tight, and I don't think I would change anything on that front.
I just love these cuts, man. Like this shot of World of Warcraft into MK11, and it's like a sword swing halfway through, and it cuts to a sword swing halfway through into MK11. So cool. I love that so much. Okay, yeah. So I guess that's a great place, Alex, to move into material selection. Then you were saying that these pieces seem pretty deliberately chosen to kind of best suit Nick's style and interest. So I guess in the past we've seen some reels that are maybe like too focused, like they're all really the same thing. Do you think this is like striking a good balance, or do you think it's like too far apart, or what do you think?
I think for this, like, there's a good mixture of having things that are like more grounded and magical, like Blizzard stuff, and things that are also more physical. Like, I feel like Mortal Kombat is extremely physical in a lot of ways, but so is like, you know, Horizon Forbidden West. There's a lot of organic sounds in there, and then you have a lot of sci-fi too. So I think there's enough variety between these clips to kind of demonstrate different aspects of your talents, but I think they all kind of have a futuristic approach to them, you know, because, you know, Horizon Forbidden West is obviously a futuristic sci-fi game. So is Warframe, you know, so is Ghostwire Tokyo. So I think given your interest in your style, I think there's enough here that plays into it, but there's still enough variety within them to show, like, you know, different skill ranges with like physical sounds, magic, sci-fi, and enough things to show subtleties as well. So yeah, I think it's good.
Nice. Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I think this is like making it really clear these are the kind of projects I want to work on. I don't think there's any kind of mystery left in that respect. It's pretty clear. We're all, you know, pretty certain of that. Okay, so one thing is, this is probably worth noting, is that these are all linear pieces. So in terms of applying to a AAA studio, I have zero experience in the AAA environment. So I don't want to demand that Juliet and Alex like tell us about PlayStation's hiring practices, but in general, I have heard that showing some implementation ability is worthwhile as well, as far as just having even just an understanding, like a loose understanding of how Wise works, or how Fmod works, or just how Unity works, or whatever, just to show that yes, you have an interest in these things, and yes, you have some sensibilities when it comes to how sounds must be designed and structured from a technical level as well to go into the project. So, I mean, one thing is that I personally always encourage people to treat their demo reel as like the one thing someone needs to watch to get an idea for all your work. But it's not a hard and fast rule. If your stuff kicks ass, then people will feel inclined to dig deeper and see more things. So in this case, I guess whether you agree with that or not, Juliet, do you feel like this is enough to kind of drive you to go look elsewhere as far as integration and such, like that third video on the front page?
Honestly, seeing the reel and seeing like how just the content of it, because I liked the stylistic choices that he made, it immediately made me see like what else does he have, and then I saw the Wise Unity integration, and I was like, oh, cool, let me go check that out and see what's there. So I feel like the thing about implementation in general is that I feel like that can be easily taught. Not saying that sort of work is easy, but I feel like it's easier to sort of sit someone down and teach them how to implement something versus like someone who has a good ear and has good ideas in terms of like stylistic choices for sound. Because ultimately, like designing sound, I feel like it's just years of practice and really like honing in your craft.
Sure.
So because I really like his stylistic choice, I feel like, well, if he doesn't know how to implement, like we can teach him how to do that.
Yeah, not to mention just simple interest and passion in your work as well. I mean, I think it's pretty clear to see that Nick enjoys what he's doing with this stuff. I can see you're having fun. Just watching this video, it seemed like you were stoked to show it around. So yeah, I'm inclined to agree. Like this breaks the rules a bit for me, and that's certainly fine. You know, these guidelines exist for a reason. They're only guidelines, and if your stuff is awesome, I'm gonna dig deeper. So, okay. So Alex and Juliet, how do you feel about watching maybe like a minute of the Wise Unity video? Just get a sense for
I'm down.
how he's
Let's do
made
it.
this. Okay,
But
cool.
also,
Sure.
there is that second video as well, which is weapons and skills design, which, to my understanding, is a little more gameplay focused than his first sound design reel. So I think it almost seems like they're kind of companion pieces in a way to like two different facets of the sound design skills. So I would try, if we have time.
I think we do.
To
Sure.
watch that too.
I mean, the fact that I made a point of getting this show on the road a bit earlier than usual, just so we can get all 3 videos in. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll load up the second video instead. Play video, and yeah, it's 50 seconds long. No sweat. We can definitely do this. Okay, I'll mute. So 3, 2, 1, and go. Cool. I'm stuck again. There we go. I lost Alex also.
Oh no.
I sneezed. I didn't want anyone. I didn't want anyone to see me sneeze. It was embarrassing.
Okay. All right. You're fine. Don't worry. Yeah. Okay. Great. Oh, sorry. So.
I want to point out something really quick.
Please.
Because I think that this, if I noticed it, I feel like someone else might notice it. But the intro of this video versus the last video, the beginning of the logo cuts off. The sound does at the beginning. So that might be something that Nikita might want to fix, only because it was really noticeable.
Sorry, what's cutting off here? Like before the
At the
video starts?
beginning, the logo,
Yeah.
like his logo, the sound cuts off.
Let's see here. Yeah, I did hear it stop pretty abruptly too. I wasn't sure if that was like a conscious choice or not, but I definitely did like kind of get jarred as well from that. Cool. So just so you know, Nick, there you go. Some feedback. Okay, so Alex, you wanted to watch it. Do you feel like you're do you feel like you were fulfilled by your drive to watch this video?
Yeah, I think there's a certain style of sound design that lends itself better to like trailer cuts and like more cinematic things of that nature. So to see those skills be applied to a more practical application, like repeat variations on a weapon fire sound, like that Overwatch clip, or like other things, it kind of gives some insight into your game sound designer brain. Because like, let's say if you were just going for regular sound design at like a post house or like film, the trailer would be no sweat. But I think getting to the right mind frame to make sounds that are specifically going to be readable and natural sounding in a game is kind of like what makes game sound design so special. And I think it's important that you did also have a video dedicated to showing these kind of things. In my personal opinion, it would have been kind of nice to have them all in the same reel. So you have, here's my content, and then second video is here's my Wise and Unity, experience. So it would have been kind of cool, hypothetically, if you like trimmed down both of those videos, your weapons and skills one and your sound design one, and kind of made them into one reel. And maybe it's like the first half is like the linear cutscene stuff, second half is the gameplay stuff. Then I would be really satisfied. Then I just watch one video and I get the complete like sphere of who you are as a sound designer.
Yeah, fully. It's it becomes more challenging to edit in the same way you've edited the main reel there, Nick, because I mean, obviously, I lost this video again. There we go. Because obviously, it's hearing the Doom weapon sound redesign by itself is not the most crazy action-packed thing compared to your main bit. But what we'll see sometimes is just some gameplay captured. So just play the game and fire this weapon, just resync it basically, and design the other various elements in that shot. And I think you'll find it would probably fit in there just fine. It's still going to be action packed. It's still going to be cinematic on the whole, as long as you're making conscious editing choices. I think it could be great. Juliet, any thoughts on this one?
Yes, I guess this is like an overall sort of feedback. I feel like I very much got the feeling of what sort of style you bring in terms of your sound design to all of these examples. But I feel like in each one, you should try really, really hard to like make them stand out individually in terms of style. Because as of now, watching the two videos, I feel like it's starting to sound all the same. And I feel like Overwatch, in terms of abilities, isn't going to sound the same as Horizon. And then like this clip where it goes from like the Overwatch to the different one with the gun, I feel like they sound so similar, even though they're supposed to be completely different titles. So I feel like maybe this is more of like sort of maybe dialing back or figuring out a way where it could be differentiated, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. I mean, that's certainly a nuanced consideration. I mean, that's awesome. We're even at a point of having that conversation right now, because oftentimes we wouldn't even get so far to be talking about details like considering audio direction and what kind of, exactly, what kind of differences you can aim for across titles. Because, yeah, you definitely have a sound, like Nick Gerasimov has a sound, and that's not a bad thing. But oftentimes we're placed in a position as sound designers of trying to match a world. Like a world's already exists. It's been built by the narrative lead and their team, and it's been built by the art team, and now the sound team is all coming together to build this thing. And the audio direction is like, actually Chris Barassa, who is the creative director at Red Hook Studios on Darkest Dungeon, he gave a talk at GDC about creative direction on the whole, and how it's important to think of creative direction as like a person at the table almost. So when you're all seated there talking about a new creative choice to make, it's not really like me versus like Alex, who Alex thinks this, I think that. It's more like, well, okay, we have our own opinions, but what does this person say? And it's the creative direction of the table who is calling all the shots. So in the end, it's not even about whether you want to design something a certain way, Nick. It's whether that thing fits the project. So that is definitely like a next step level of maturity to try to be able to tweak your style to match something that may be outside your comfort zone. And that's a wonderful place to be. That means you already have really strong foundations. So awesome. Okay, so I think I'm ready to move on to this integration thing, just out of curiosity. We might not watch the whole thing, but I would love to just get a taste for it, see how you approach this whole thing. Let's go full volume again, and I will mute myself again in 3, 2, 1, and go. I'm skipping, don't tell them. Okay, yeah, I'm satisfied. Okay, I'm done. So, whenever you are, let me know. Cool. Alex is done. Sweet, the thumbs up. So, at around 38 seconds, 39 seconds, 41, somewhere in that range, I felt compelled to thumbnail ahead, just like kind of just mouse over the progress bar and see what's coming up. Mainly because I felt like I got the gist. And personally, what I love seeing in integration videos is the person talking about their craft and walking us through these cool things they did, these interesting problems they faced, and their creative solutions to those problems. Whereas simply watching gameplay, there are likely some pretty cool things in this scene that you did, Nick, that I totally am not aware of or not listening for. And you already have the gameplay. Well, you kind of have a gameplay video and you have the linear video. This one seems like a good chance. This is like, if someone makes it here, you're doing a good job. Because again, if the other demo reels suck, if they just aren't up to standard, they're not going to watch this video. That just is the honest truth of it. So if they're here, treat it as almost like a meet and greet. I think it's a great way to think of it, because if you're saying, "Hey, I'm Nick Gerasimov, and here's my Wise Unity integration demo. Here's what I did." It gives a chance to show your voice editing and processing. It gives a chance to speak about something in a passionate way. And that kind of thing comes through. So people can kind of get to know you a bit, just even through how you're explaining your work. So it's really, really positive. Whereas this here, like the text on screen, it's not the worst thing in the world. Like, music's interactive. When enemies see you, combat music starts playing. Like, sure, but I would way, way rather to hear you telling us about that, because it lets you, again, control the flow and control our attention. I can keep looking at the scene and just listen to you rather than having to look up and down and read things. That's my opinion. I'm not sure if Juliet, if you feel the same way or differently.
I was going to say, based on this video, I feel like I really just have to trust that you did do that, because there's, like you said, there's nothing in this video that's like showing your process. Like, I see it, I hear it, but like, how do I know for sure that you did that? Not saying that you didn't at all, but whoever's reviewing this, it's their job to kind of fish out for things like that.
And it's probably worth mentioning as well or worth considering, that in-game audio, there's like 1,000 ways to achieve anything you're going for. Like, how do you control footsteps, surface sounds? Like, there are definitely a lot of ways, and among those ways, many of them are the wrong way to do it, or like the suboptimal way of doing it. So if you show us doing that, then, and it's like the right way, quote unquote, then awesome. That's very, very cool. It can go a long way to show the work you're doing. Because if it's interesting and creative, it's like, whoa, that's actually pretty cool and really, really inventive. Alex, do you have any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, similar to what you all said, I think the main thing is like, we already get a really good sense of your sound design abilities from the first two videos. So, for dessert, we already had the appetizer, we already had the main course. So for the dessert, I want to have more of a deep dive. It's like, hey, you can also do implementation. You also know Unity. You also know Wise. Like, I'd almost want more of like, one part of the screen is like, a screen share of like your Wise project or your Unity project. How are you scripting this stuff? And that video can just be to the side too, because it's less about the content. And it is good, maybe if you had like a little short snippet at the very end. Here's how everything sounds together. Like, that's cool, and it gives you kind of a way to show that you know how to tackle a project holistically. But if we've already made it this far, like Kevin mentioned, it would be cool just to have like, it's like the extra credits or like the behind the scenes of a DVD.
The
like,
dev
I want
commentary.
to know a little bit more about what makes your implementation style unique. What's going through your head, because I want to know. So that's kind of where I'm at with that too.
Awesome. Yeah, this is a really, really common bit of feedback we give for these integration videos. Just getting rid of the text and just narrating it, because every time I see a narrated video, I want to watch it through, especially if the person's speaking. Like, okay, so here we go. Thank you so much for watching. Here's Wise Unity. Let's go. And they're speaking in a way that's like, thank you so much for listening to me. I can't wait to show this to you. Like, I'm going to watch it. again, if someone makes it here at all, they're gonna watch. They want to watch it. You know, they already want to watch it. Just help them through it. Okay, so we're now at 4:56. Oh, where am I? Here we go. Sorry, that was me. Oh man, that's why I mute before. Sorry, Juliet. So I guess, do you have any notes on? We said in general, yep, sounds cool. Do you have any like content feedback stuff you saw in either the sound design reel or the weapon skills stuff? Juliet's nodding ferociously. Go for it.
The first video,
Mm-hmm.
these are just like very, very tiny things. I feel like Nikita's so good at making these huge, giant sounds, and those are really tough to tackle in general. I would have to say that there's a lot of emphasis on the big shiny parts. I would really like emphasis on details in the background, like in the first design reel, when we're looking at Horizon. Like some of the stuff that I noticed was like just like the birds flapping, like some of that stuff like sticks out to me, where like the flaps are sort of kind of like out of sync, or like it like cuts abruptly for me. And and I feel like a lot of the forefront is like the mechanical sound, where you can also like focus on bringing more organic sounds, like the dirt shaking and stuff like that. So I feel like the biggest feedback that I would give would be like, because you're such a great sound designer, I would focus more now on sort of really becoming a detailed sound designer and really giving space to small details in the background, because overall I feel like that's part of like the polishing part of sound design.
Totally. And if I were to give, I had this one in the chamber ready to go in terms of feedback on. Well, that's Juliet just now. She apologized if she disappears, so we'll come back in a second. Right. So as she gets that connection going again, the Warframe clip. There you are. The Warframe clip is kind of the only one that doesn't have a really specific focus, like of the shot. Like the Horizon shot is like this really specific thing making noise. The Ghostwire clip is also like really specific, like this corridor that sounds all in front of us, all of it. And the same goes for like the Warcraft shot. It's like this massive thing slamming the shot, like it's all in front of us right there. But the Warframe clip, we're in a battlefield. There's things all around. And the thing is, the design style is still kind of the same in terms of being really focused on what's like right here, right in the middle of the screen. And you've covered that really, really adeptly. Like it's very good. But I kind of wish, like Juliet was saying, I'm just play this a little more here, a little louder. Like there's some background stuff, but like I think you could dive deeper into like here. Yeah, like even beforehand, this there, it's a balance, right? Your job is to support this story as it unfolds, but like this electricity, for instance, you do pull to the forefront once it's in the middle of the screen, but we only hear it like a split second before it comes into view. And in general, that's kind of how it is for most of the things in this whole clip. Like we're hearing them if we see them, but if we don't, we're not hearing it at all. So you definitely have a lot more room to play with just to invent what's happening off screen, basically, because that's really like the next level of maturity when it comes to sound design, is designing more than just what's in the frame and choosing what's off screen and what that might sound like. It's totally your call. It's a really fun part of sound design. Okay, maybe a final thought from Alex, and then we'll probably call it there for Nick.
Yeah, I think playing devil's advocate on your note,
please.
I think what Nikita does have that really makes this special is that he is really good at pulling focus for you. Mm-hmm. And that results in a really clean mix that has a lot of dynamics in terms of what's actually happening. So there's a lot of carved moments where even though the battlefield's kind of hectic, you're really like focusing from moment to moment, and having that sense of storytelling is pretty cool. And I think a lot of times people will put sound on everything and you just get a really muddy mix.
Yep.
So I do like that you kind of picked, little moments. Oh, here we'll focus on this, but over here the camera goes here. So that is a good kind of mindset to have. What did stick out to me the most, though, is it seems like your stereo image is always as wide as it can be for every sound. It almost sounds like you kind of have like a chorus or widener on everything. And I think what really makes sound design special and dynamic is not only volume and frequency, but also what you do with your image and how spatialized certain sounds are. So there's a lot of times where like someone is like off flying around or sword fighting, and like all the sounds are playing like center and really wide. I would try and play around with folding some sounds down to mono and panning it around with a character, but then like some special sounds, you can play those wide. So there's a lot of dynamics that are opening and closing in terms of the width. I think the same thing also goes for the weapons and skills reel, as well as even the Unity demo. I think you could probably focus a little bit more on having that mono spatialized character detail that's grounded in real, but then building on top of that with some of the more specialized design sounds. And then I think you'll have a good like multi-layered approach for the kind of how your mix feels in general.
Nice.
Because the only real sense of feedback is because everything's wide. Things can get a little noisy at times because a lot of stuff builds up in the spectrum. So I would try and like look at that.
Yeah, there was some really cool moments too in the MK11 clip where it's like silence on the kick to the chest, you know? That's a cool choice. Very cool. And I've seen
I love that part.
I've seen this clip redesigned, not this clip specifically, but like something from this game redesigned several times, and I don't think I've heard a digital silence moment ever. So that's a very cool choice. Good job. Okay, nice. I guess the only thing remaining is, do you think, having watched what we watched and gone over the site and so forth, do you think, Juliet, do you think that Nick is standing out in a crowd right now?
I do. If I saw that website, I'd be like, oh my God, we need him in here now. Let's do this. What are we waiting for?
Yeah. Sweet. And Alex? Alex is carefully considering the question.
I got it. Sorry. I was trying to click onto the website and back, and then I lost Discord. Yeah, I definitely think from looking at the reel on the website, I think I definitely get a sense that you know yourself and you have a unique style in many ways. So I totally agree that you would be a standout candidate for, an audio designer application for sure. So just keep on doubling down what makes you unique and work on some of those core things we talked about. And I think you'll do good.
Nice. Yeah, we'd call you back too, although it seems like you may not want to work on indie games. So nice work, Nick. Very cool. Thank you so much. Spasibo. Go have some sleep. Go get some rest finally. It's like 5:30 a.m. or something. 5 a.m. Okay. Oh, and Nick, final thing. If you have any questions, clarifications afterwards, feel free to hit me up on Twitter. I won't speak for Alex and Juliet, but feel free to DM me. My DMs are open. As always, happy to follow up on questions and so forth. So, and he's staying. All right, one more of these. Okay, Aaron. Cendan? Aaron, I've seen your name around for a long time now, and I'm stoked to have a look at your stuff. And actually, I saw that I think it was Robbie Elias, hit me up and was like, or on Twitter maybe, was saying that you need to submit to Real Talk with this demo reel. So I'm interested to see what's up here. Okay, we got Aaron Cendan. Send on. Thank you. Got it. Send on. I apologize. Yeah, my name's Regami, and people always say Regami. Oh, so cool. Game is in your name. No, it's Regami. So, Aaron Sendon, real experience slide projects about contact Stickless. I'm clicking Stickless first. Stickless custom controllers. Stickless.me. The story. I don't have time to read this right now. But okay. You make controllers? What's happening here? After producing the first Stickless controller and sharing images of it across the internet, I received overwhelming feedback from others looking to design one to meet their own needs. Crazy. Okay, well, distinction is taken care of. Nice. Well done.
Yeah, I actually remember this because I'm a Melee player too, so I remember this going around when it first came out. So it's cool to know like the man, the myth, and the legend is here in the real talk today.
Oh, damn. That's so cool. Very cool. There you go, Aaron. Good on you. Look at these paint jobs too. Is it paint? I guess so. Right? Yeah. Okay. So let's go back to the main page. Prince. Okay. Skate reel. Audio integration demo reel. This page is like heavy deep dive immediately, eh? It seems. Interesting. So here is so here's the thing. Here's what someone will probably do. They would/might read the first paragraph. Again, we're picturing your application, this being the primary piece of the primary element of your job application, like this website, right? This website link. So if you are amidst like 500 applications for candidacy for a project or for a company, what would/might happen is someone would/might read this first paragraph and then press play. That's my guess. So let's do that. Let's watch this real quick because I'm curious. This whole page. No, first thing we'll go to about. Then we'll come back here. There he is, smiling face. Okay. Hi, my name is Aaron Cendan, and I focus on building immersive audio systems for games. Check out some of my prior and ongoing work in the Experience tab, or browse through the side projects in my blog. Enjoy, and feel free to reach out through the contact page. Okay, cool. Other stuff I want to know. Yes, I do want to know this. So I received my bachelor's in music with specialization in ethnomusicology, that is the interrelation between culture and music, from the University of Chicago in spring of 2018. While attending UChicago, I dove headfirst into music production and sound design, with projects ranging from composing tracks for the school newspaper's podcast to creating modular synth sound effects. In addition to schoolwork, I hosted 100-plus person regional gaming tournaments a few times a year and started up a company developing custom gaming controllers. We saw that for players with hand and wrist complications. Check the stick list tab above for more details. After 4 years in Chicago, I moved on to study at the University of Central Florida's master program in game design. From soundtrack composition to sound design and integration using Wise and Fmod, I dedicated the entirety of my time in graduate school to learning the core pillars of audio for games. Currently, I am working at EA on Madden 21, helping to build, organize, and maintain the intricate systems for the playback of sports commentary audio for the game. That is definitely very complex. I've heard a lot about that. Cool. Seems like you're doing it, man, in a big way. Good on you. CFL. Sweet. Let's go to the reel. Well, I'm curious first. It's Experience. I keep jumping around. Sorry, guys. We got Madden, technical speech, bunch of stuff. Cool. And we got Tablecraft. Okay. Oculus. Technical sound designer. Okay, some stuff. And Fmod looks like. Nice. And here is him wearing Oculus Quest. Nice. Very cool. And side projects, various posts. Last one is like a week ago. Very nice. November 29th. That's unusual. It's like a recent blog post like that. So very cool. And contact. Easy. There's the stuff. Okay, well, now, Alex and Juliet, are you keen to watch the reel? What's this length at? I'm curious. 207. Okay. All right. Let's go full screen. I'm going to mute myself in a second. So let's watch this in 3, 2, 1, and go.
What you're about to see is footage from the trailers for a game called Session. But what you're about to hear is how I would go about integrating audio for the game if I were working on it. To clarify, these trailers have been imported into a game engine, Unreal Engine 4, and I've rebuilt the core audio systems for the game from the ground up. Whenever you see a trick in the video, there is logic behind the scenes controlling when, where, and what audio should be played. Because of this, every time you watch the trailer, you'll hear something entirely different. From random sample selection and pitch and volume modulation to custom-built data assets, audio managers, and a fully dynamic mix, I hope you enjoy this reinterpretation of Session.
Cool. Neat. All right. Well, that was super unique, yo. Oh, sorry, claps. I was so taken aback by how crazy it was. I didn't even clap for you, Aaron. That was really interesting. Speechless. Perhaps you can speak more for me, Alex. Yeah? What do you think?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's a really cool approach. I've never seen a reel presented in that fashion, and it's kind of an interesting take on showing not only linear sound design abilities, but also like interactive at the same time. So that's cool. I do have some thoughts about potential showcase of variety to potential employers, and also some other sound design related things. And a couple of things I'm confused about, but we can get into that later when we go more into detail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Juliet?
Same. I feel I'm eager to discuss the website. I've never seen a demo reel like this before. I think also a thing to take into consideration is I'm assuming that Aaron would be showing this for when he applies for like a technical sound designer position, right? That's kind of the feeling that I get right off the bat.
Sure. That's my assumption as well. I mean, Aaron's in the chat. Perhaps you can... There you go. Tech sound designer roles, yes. There you go.
Yes, it very much comes off as a very technical background. If you were applying for a sound design job, I'm not sure how, I'm not sure if it would be interesting enough, but for a technical sound design job, I think it is interesting.
Mm-hmm. Right, so Aaron's saying, I currently work 100% in implementation, 0% sound design in my day-to-day. There you go. So, yeah, I mean, we've certainly seen nothing like this before, Aaron's. That's very, very cool. I mean, that alone, you're standing out. So I was really hoping it'd be interesting and good because the page is long. So it's like, if this sucks, then this page is a lot of wasted time. So it does not suck. So nice work. Okay. I mean, it's a bit tricky to approach this in our traditional sense of like, what do you think of like the titling on the video and stuff, you know, because of course there is none. This is not really a demo reel in the classic sense. It is certainly a strong single piece. So Alex, you had some thoughts on like just presentation in general and like one piece alone versus diversity and so forth. So perhaps you can widen your view on that.
Yeah, I think now knowing that your intended like role is for more of a technical one and less of a creative one, I think your website totally caters to that for sure. But I think I would almost be more upfront about it if that's kind of your aim. So like if it said Aaron send on technical sound designer, or just something more like, I mean, it is pretty obvious once you dig a little deeper that that's definitely your main focus, especially when you look at your experience and your side projects. But I think off the bat, let's say you're wanting to kind of break out of the technical wheelhouse and go into more of a creative role or not, I think it would be good to kind of state your intentions right up front. Because at the end of the day, if a studio does have a separate technical sound designer role from their regular sound design roles, I think it would be good for you to distinguish specifically what you're marketing yourself as, because then that helps people's expectations be more in check. Because like I said, and like Kevin said, and like Jules said, if you were applying to a regular sound design gig that wasn't technical, I feel like there would be a little bit of lacking variety in showing your sound design abilities. But, you know, if you're trying to show off like your understanding of scripting and like implementation, then it's like, heck yeah, this guy's great for the job. So it'd be nice to know that upfront.
Yeah, again, consider Aaron the whole, like really consider the mind space that someone might be in when you are like the 140th person they looked at that day. You know, like literally, these are not unrealistic numbers. You could be 140th person that day. So having a really, really clear indication, immediately, like an unmistakably clear indication of what you're going for and who you are, it just can't possibly hurt, you know? Okay, great. So I guess, Jules, do you have any other thoughts on this one too?
Yes.
Cool.
I want to talk about the website and the layout.
Awesome.
I feel like going through this website, I get the sense that you have a lot to say and you have a lot of knowledge with you, and that's not a bad thing. You can still, come across that way, but do it in a super scaled back manner. I feel like, to be honest, when I opened this website and I got to this and I was scrolling, I went up to click on your name again because I thought that I had landed on the wrong page because I felt like the example by itself, I felt like there was just a lot going on. And then sort of going through the different tabs, I even felt like a lot of it could be laid out a little bit differently. Even the about page, I felt like the idea of who you are and how you were presenting yourself, I felt like a lot of it could be broken up into smaller paragraphs that are easier to digest because as of now, I feel like there's just a lot of text everywhere. And I feel like people who recruiters, I feel like they get discouraged when they see so much text.
Yeah.
They're just like, wow, I wish I could give this person the time, but I can't. Yeah, that's how I feel about the website.
Yeah, the text, I mean, it's one of those things where it's kind of important. Well, it's pretty important to have some kind of clarification of what a thing is, just in case someone has stumbled across your page and they really need to know what this project is and what your role was or whatever, right? But I mean, even our website as an example, powerupaudio.com, I mean, we've got so much text in this page. Every project has a quick write-up and what we've done. Every one of them. No one's going to read all this text. But someone might be like, oh my God, they worked on Shadowhand. And then they'll have that there. They did a original suite of sound effects for Shadowhand. There you go. But to have the text right there in your face to start is a bit of a bold move. But the thing is, the way your reel works, I don't know that I have a solution for you. I mean, in general, phase one, the prototype, I almost want to, similar to Nick, I kind of want you to walk me through this as opposed to force me to read through things and cross-reference with blueprint screenshots and stuff. That is a lot of work. I recognize that. But if the work is done, I think it would look really good. I mean, Jules, you're saying there's a lot of text. Do you have any thoughts on that as far as how that could be mitigated on the front page, perhaps?
Yeah, I think people love to have the option to dive deeper or not. It's when you have it laid out where people feel they want me to go through this. I'm not going to go through it. So I feel like you could still have this sort of layout and have the text, maybe break it up a little bit. And then, you can just add a button at the bottom that says if you want more details or if you want more in-depth approach of what I did, give people the option to be oh, what did he do? And then maybe that could take them to a different page or something like that, so that then they can see sort of the process of it. I feel, I've already said this, but I think it's really important to for people to have the option. I don't know why that makes people feel they're still in control of how they're navigating through your page.
Yeah, because I see now down in phase 4, there's a video, grind timing changes. So there is more video content, but I had to kind of search for it. It seems like there's mostly GIFs otherwise, right? Aaron says, I totally agree, by the way. Can come across as overwhelming in its current state. I figured people would probably find a subtitle or section they were interested in, then focus on that rather than read every word. Well, kinda, but they're still going to see all of it at once, you know? And the tricky part is, like, if we are to believe that you think every single thing on this front page is equally important, that's kind of what this says right now, and then we don't know what we should be focusing our attention on. You know, that's how I feel at least. Small thing, to Juliet's point, visually, I think the section titles take up a lot of real estate on this page and make it tricky to tell content from titles. Yeah, that's a fair point. I
was literally just about to say that.
There you go. Yeah, it's a lot of like big blocky images kind of back and forth. Yeah, it's tricky, man, because I really like this as a main, like, really deep dive, interesting, unique approach to a problem that no one asked you to solve. You know, this is like your own problem you invented, which is also its own kind of, you know, level of standing out. Very cool.
Yeah, if I could butt in real quick, actually.
Please, yeah.
Like, I think because your experience and expertise is more aligned with technical things rather than creative, like, I can totally understand the necessity to have a little bit more detail than most people would. Like, on the other extreme, you know, Nikita's page was super simple. There was no pages. It was just one page, right?
Yeah.
So, but for you, since your job is so technical, in order to understand where your head's at and your competency level, like, you kind of do need this amount of detail. However, like Juliet pointed out, is like when you do go to your landing page, it seems like we landed on a sub page. It's like it's supposed to be a detailed one. I think what I would do personally, and this is not like necessarily what you have to do, but just an idea, is like if your homepage was like almost no text at all and just a video of like a highlight, like here's what I worked on, here's some side projects, like a sizzle reel. It's like a movie trailer for Aaron. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And then from there, at the bottom of that video, maybe have some navigation links. Oh, check out my skate reel. Hey, I just saw like a 1 minute sizzle reel of really cool stuff you worked on. Right below it, I can click on little things to take me there and read more about it. And then you have the full smorgasbord of your screenshots, your breakdown videos. Because if your sizzle reel is cool enough, and I know that you worked on Madden, like, I'm going to want to watch this stuff, but having it as the main first thing I see, it's a little overwhelming. I agree.
That's a good point, Alex, is that if we consider this whole idea of like the demo reel should be the sizzle reel for you, like the teaser trailer for you, Aaron, if we just hypothetically assume that this video is all someone had time to watch, they wouldn't know that you worked on Madden or that you have this other side projects happening and such, right? So this is not telling the full story. And I think, again, this whole segment is all about just increasing your chances. So there is certainly a chance that someone would go like, oh, damn, this is pretty cool, actually. What else has Aaron done? It seems like this isn't his first rodeo. And then they might click on the about, they might click on experience and learn those things. But it's really up to you to decide what your personal comfort level is, like your risk threshold is when it comes to things like that. Like if you trust that every person who sees this video is kick-ass, it's so cool, how could they not click further into my page? Then sure, leave it as is. But if you think there's a chance that someone might watch this and be like, okay, I got to get to a lunch or something and like leave and forget to come back or whatever, right? They might not learn all that you want them to learn. So yeah, it's fully up to you to decide if it's worth making like kind of a one step before this video to have this as like a follow-up to that one, you know? Yeah, that may be the move. I think it's very strong and it's super interesting. I saw at the bottom too, you can download the quote unquote playable demo here to see for yourself. That's very cool. All right, we're coming up on 5:30. This is a bit unique. We didn't really cover like the material selection and content quality and stuff. We just totally skipped over all the criteria just to cover this main front page. But I suppose, do you have any just final thoughts, Jules, before you call it a day?
Yeah. I would also recommend, I feel like a lot of people do it, so it's obvious, but I still want to put it out there. Whatever material you decide to tackle, I saw that you know, you recorded a lot of like the skateboarding stuff, so I'm assuming that you do just practice skateboarding in general. But I feel like in the reel there was like some like pivotal sounds for the skateboard that were missing, like kind of like the wheels um uh hitting against like the concrete and like landing some of them, and just like the deck hitting like the rails and stuff like that. So I feel like if you're going to tackle, you know, something like that, I feel like it's good to like spend a lot of time with that sort of material to sort of like really feel ingrained in sort of like what it's supposed to sound. I think the sounds in there are amazing. I really like them. But I always felt like there was a couple of sounds missing to like really get to that realistic sort of sound.
Cool. Yeah, I did have the feeling as I was watching the video the first time that there was some sameness happening in terms of different services and such, and I kind of it's kind of like forgivable because it's not a sound design reel. It's like this super unique approach to this like weird technical problem. So I didn't really mind that much. It was kind of like the bass drop with like the little delay effect thing for the big trick and slow motion thing. I was like, oh, it's a big trick slow motion moment again. Therefore, it's the same thing happening again. So it kind of makes sense. But I guess just like next level stuff, you want to just bring it up a little more. We might as well make that comment that it's certainly worth. If you did put more time into like the details further yet, I don't think that would be a bad use of your time. Let's put it that way. And Alex, I'll give the floor to you for one last thought before we call it.
Yeah, I agree with that. But because it is a technical demo reel, like I would almost like to see more attention paid to certain details that I think were missed. Juliet brought up some ones like, you know, the trucks hitting the grind rail and stuff like that. But also, if you're kind of mimicking real-time parameters to drive a lot of the data in this clip, I would go even further to do like distance and location in terms of spatialization, because when Kevin mentioned sameness, everything feels centered and also everything feels close no matter how far the skater is away.
There's like
so I would almost do another pass to like, you know, track the location and also like set up like, you know, distance on the emitter, so you have proximity, you have EQ and stuff like that.
Yeah, sort of to jump in, there was like one clip where the guy like launches over something and lands kind of farther away, and it sounded farther away in that one clip, and I was like, oh, cool. There's distance attenuation or something, but it felt like never otherwise, and perhaps it just wasn't like drastic enough or something that I didn't hear it, but. Yeah, I got a lot of that too, watching this for the first time.
And one other super quick thing.
Yep.
And actually, I saw you did mention it in your write-up, but that kind of outdoor reverb slap echo effect is a little strong, which you did note. But because you realized it, I would actually redo the video to accommodate that change, so it sounds. Because someone might not scroll that far down to see that you note that and say, "Oh, this reverb's too hot." But at the same time. The reverb also sounds like it's only on like the ollies and not on like louder sounds like landing and stuff. So I would try to smooth out kind of, because I like the effect a lot. I would just try to make it more streamlined and update your video so when someone watches it, it sounds exactly what you think is your best foot forward.
Cool. So I guess just the last thing, Jules, do you think that with this unique approach to a job application piece, demo reel, do you think that Aaron's standing out in the crowd right now?
Unfortunately, I feel like there's still a ways to go so that he can stand out. But giving time to his reel, like I could see how talented he is. But like in the first minute, like I would pass it, and I would feel so awful knowing that I passed on like someone who's so talented. Yeah,
it's just like a classic thing. Like 90% of the reels that we come across on Real Talk, the tweaks to be made aren't because the person lacks talent. There's certainly room to improve, basically always, but communication is almost always the bigger issue to solve. Yeah, so Alex, how about you? Well, I'll clarify as well. Even if you wouldn't hire him right now, we'll put it that way. Do you think he's standing out in some positive way?
Yeah, I think like I can tell a lot of his personality and like his attention to detail and care and experience through all of his website. And I just think like you come through. Like you just seem like a genuinely affable person who does a lot of cool stuff and is smart. But I agree that part doesn't come across in the first 2 or 3 minutes of me being on your landing page. So I think if you kind of streamline things a little bit and put more of you up front, I think people will get the gist of your scope of your abilities a lot sooner and be able to make that kind of gut call a lot higher of a chance, in my opinion.
Awesome. Yeah, mine too. I think that the biggest note for me is that teaser, the whole teaser trailer concept. Just have it up front, have that serve as an adequate only thing to watch. That could be the only thing, and they'll get the picture. And if they have more time after their lunch break, they can come back and watch the full the full trailer playthrough and such. Right? Okay, great. Well, thanks, Aaron. Nice work. Super cool. And thank you to you both as well for taking the time. It was 90 minutes in the middle of I don't know about you, but for me, a very busy December. So thank you so much. Before we go, if you have anything you want to share in terms of your own stuff going on, projects to watch out for, whatever, I'll give the floor to you. How about you first, Jules?
I'm just skating right now. That's all I'm doing.
That's fine too. Alex, anything from you?
I don't know what to say. Be good to each other, love everyone, and have a great holiday. Stay safe out there.
I should thank you for dressing for the occasion as well. Thank you so much.
Trying to stay warm in these brutal California winter months.
Yes.
You're so nice, Alex. I love that. I should have said something nice too.
There's still time.
I got nervous on the spot. I had to say something cringy.
No, it's not. No, thank you for inviting us, and thank you everyone for tuning in. And yeah, everybody stay warm, stay bundled, eat a lot, and have a great holiday.
All right. Well, here's this one's for you, okay? That's all for you. All right, thanks so much. I will let you go. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye.
See you.
Bye.
All right. Well, thank you. I will reflect their thanks to the chat as well. Everyone hanging out and giving your own feedback and such. It's always great to see, especially as I was saying during the Game Awards. I am turning the stream off and changing tabs immediately. I've been watching the Power Up audio team in our off-topic channel in Slack talking about the Game Awards, and I scolded them for not watching Real Talk. So I thank you all very much for being here. I was a little worried about numbers, not realizing it was the same day. So very, very nice of you all. And I will see you next week. We do this show every 2 weeks, but given that December, of course, is like a half month or 2/3 month for everyone, we opted to do a Real Talk today on the 10th, and also next week, not in 2 weeks, just next week on the 17th. And we're bringing in guest host Seth Parker, who is sound designer and composer at Young Horses, with Octodad previously, and now, of course, Bug Snacks, which I need to find more time to play before that stream. I'm not sure it'll happen or not, but hopefully. And in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and play... Where is it? There it is. Ping. We're playing it again. We're doing it. Play it out. It's from Excel. It's so good, this track. So nice. Thanks, everyone. See you next week.